Hey everybody, welcome to our interview today. We are interviewing Luisa, who just completed our program, and she's been dealing with Linea Scleroderma since childhood. I'm Dr. Maggie Yu, and I am an integrative physician and MD, and we have an online program called Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally that helps people train them how to master and turn around their autoimmune disease naturally. Thank you for joining us. I want to welcome our guest, Luisa. And Luisa, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I am Luisa Marmaduke. I was an educator for 29 years. I retired a little prematurely due to some of the symptoms of pain and many other symptoms. I was diagnosed only about 10 years ago with Linea Morphea, but I do have pictures of childhood about 5 years old in Mexico, where there was very much noticeable changes in certain parts of my face. So I know that the onset was from childhood. I did not feel any other symptoms other than the obvious ones in my face. So I walked life for decades, living life, but after I had 4 children, and then during the premenopausal years, I started experiencing extreme knee pain and back pain, and I was just not making any connection at all. Then during menopause, it just quadrupled some of those symptoms. Around that time, I sadly lost my oldest son, and kind of combined with all of that, I just retired. I didn't know what else to do. I could hardly stand. I could hardly, put a couple of maybe an hour without having to sit down for a long time. Then I had crutches and then a wheelchair, and that's it. I'm going, and nobody could help me. So that's kind of, I hope, in a nutshell, a little bit of my 6 decades of life.
So Luisa, thank you for joining us. This is not an easy thing for you. You're a very private person. And so thank you for sharing your journey with us and what the process you went through is. What I'm hearing in your story is something we hear all the time, which is that people do not understand that times of hormonal change really triggers the autoimmune attack to either get a new diagnosis or to be way worse. We're actually, as conventional medical doctors, missing the boat and the connection that hormone changes and drops really trigger this. This is why, if you think about autoimmune disease, 80% of sufferers are women, and 80% of them are diagnosed or have worsening of these symptoms around the time they're teenagers, starting to have periods, about the time they deliver their baby postpartum, or between the age of 35 and 47, around perimenopause. So you fit the classic pattern where it was perimenopause, right around menopause time, where you didn't even know, first of all, you didn't know you had an autoimmune disease from childhood. You were diagnosed with an autoimmune disease finally later on in adulthood, when the hormone trigger of perimenopause really triggered it to be a gazillion times worse. It was no longer just the skin, it was spreading, the attack was everywhere. Am I right?
That's absolutely correct, yes. I would have never made the connection. Doctors that I would, a little concerned, would show them some of the visual changes in my left side of my face, would sometimes say, oh, don't worry, it was the biceps at birth, or, different theories, but not even connecting it to an autoimmune illness, much less to hormones,
So what were the symptoms? So, because you said it around your late 40s and early 50s, all hell broke loose. Can you tell me all the different targets that this autoimmune disease was actually targeting?
My niece, started with my niece. Well, actually, when I had my first pregnancy 35 years ago, I really had back problems, but I thought it was the weight of the baby. And I thought it was the extra pounds that I have, managed to put on me. But then it would leave me for a few months, and then it would return. But again, I thought it was just a bad back or something. But like you mentioned about in my 40s and early 50s, the pain in my knees even required a couple of procedures, which were intrusive, and After that, my back, of course, I sometimes would be 30 days in bed without being able to go to work. And I just wanted them to do a procedure, cut it, do something, fix me, you know. But the MRI did not show enough damage to justify even that extreme surgery.
So what you're saying is you've had low back pain since the birth of your one of your children. That was a huge hormonal trigger and was already an autoimmune attack, and now you understand it. And then around your late 40s, when you started going through perimenopause, now you started to have knee pain. What else did you have, Luisa?
Well, the times that I would call my husband from the classroom to please take me to the hospital several times, because I would feel numbness in my left arm or both arms, some legs, and shaky. And I mean, I didn't know what it all was. You know, after about maybe 9 years ago that we decided it was panic attacks, then I learned to differentiate when it was panic attacks, and other times, I assure you, it was not. It was just weird symptoms of muscle pain that even moved from one place to another. I honestly tell you, I began thinking that I was losing my mind, you know?
Well, that's huge, Luisa. So around perimenopause, when it starts to trigger, first of all, random numbness, you were having palpitations, you were seeing the ER many times, you were even admitted and kept in the hospital because they at a time thought you had a heart attack, only to realize after many procedures and many days, no, she didn't, right? So
it was embarrassing, Maggie. It really was. I really remember praying, Lord, let it be a heart attack, let it be a stroke, because then maybe they can fix me, you know?
Well, and not,
I didn't want to be thought of as a person that always complained, as a person that maybe wanted attention, or, you know, when I really formally used to be a brave and courageous woman, you know,
So Luisa, it was really painful because this whole process of these random physical symptoms that you thought you don't know what's linked to your autoimmune disease or your hormones, was causing you to go to the ER over and over again, having them to tell you nothing's wrong. And so you were starting to think, not only were they starting to think you were crazy, you've been labeled as these are all panic attacks, but now you're starting to think yourself. You lost trust in yourself. You started to think, am I crazy?
And I didn't want to leave that example to my rapidly growing children, you know? The memory of a mother who is always looking for supplements, always looking for doctors, always running to the hospital, always going to the doctor with the symptoms, and they say there's nothing wrong, you know? I mean, when they diagnosed me with the scleroderma, and it was my dermatologist, and he did refer me to a rheumatologist, which I did keep my appointment. I went a couple of times. I took about a week's worth of 12 pills that would suppress my immune system. But I had already lost a sister at the age of 32, and I knew that her immune system was shot. And I did know from all the ignorance that I felt like I was walking in with all these symptoms that could not be identified. I knew that I did not want to kill my immune system. I knew that couldn't be a good thing, you know?
I think that's really interesting because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the treatments for autoimmune disease is to shut off your immune system. It's attacking you, why not shut it off? But the problem is the immune system is there.
And then, you know, when one of my nieces at 32 was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, 2 months later, my son was diagnosed with a brain tumor, who also had from childhood, you know, many symptoms of skin things that were screaming autoimmune. Now that you have taught me what you have taught me, I know that, you know.
Well, I think people don't realize that because your immune system is one of the roles of a healthy immune system is supposed to do is to protect you from cancer. So if your immune system is busy attacking yourself, and it's not busy doing the right job of protecting you from cancer, we see cancer at a very high rate in families that have autoimmune running through them. You'll see breast cancer, you'll see brain tumor, you'll see scleroderma, which you have seen in your entire family line. This is generations of this going on.
I just, you know, with all the modern technology and scientific discoveries, I just pray and hope that what you are doing, it is the future of real solutions for chronic illnesses such as ours, you know?
I do. And Luisa, let me ask you, people want to know, you know, you just finished our, 8-week online program, and people are like, what can you possibly accomplish in 8 weeks? So they want to know, what are the results that you've gotten in the last 2 months with working with us that you haven't been able to get for decades? I want to know what they want to know, and be honest.
I'll be very honest. With the digestive issues, although I know I still have long to go with that, I have not experienced that many changes because I had already done like 4 protocols that were addressing gut healing, gut healing, gut healing. So it did help some of the terrible symptoms which had led me to believe that I possibly had stomach cancer. So I did feel a lot better from that when I came into the program. But it was the pain in the last 2 years, not only the pain in my back, but it was muscular pain all over. It was horrible. It was the spasms in my spine that I thought if they last more than what they do, I don't know that I can survive it. They're horrible. And the foggy brain. I mean, I couldn't not been able to sit here and have this conversation with you. I just couldn't think. So in answer to your question, what has changed? Before, I couldn't go more than 30 minutes with regular activities without having to very carefully help one leg and then the other into the bed to lay flat for another 30 minutes so that I could then have some relief and continue doing. Now, Maggie, I can go for 12 hours in this period of the time. Yes, I was sharing with some friends that my Fitbit scared me on Saturday because it made an explosion and I thought it was not going to work anymore. It was celebrating that I had walked 8,000 steps. So that my brain fogginess is a thing of the past. I kicked it to the curb. And what else? I mean, my mindset. I mean, I really have hope for the future. The remaining of my years are going to be full of visits to the beach with my grandchildren or with my spouse, going in a cruise to different places, because now I can do it. So
I know, Luisa. I remember just 2 short months ago when we had a conversation about this, when you talked to us before you enrolled in the program, you were acting like you were dead already.
Yes, somebody had just shared in our group, because we have a community group in our home, which we switched to Thursday from Tuesday because of our mastermind calls. But they were sharing, there was this lady that did such wonderful things in life, but she was sick all the time. And then she died, and then this and that. And I remember thinking in my head, that'll be me. No more. No. I have many years to come with good quality of life.
Luisa, hell no, that's not going to be you. Not on your watch, not on my watch, not on the community that we're in's watch, and not on Everett's watch.
I am so grateful, Maggie. I really am. One of my problems now is that I want the whole world to know and to come and do this.
Why is that a problem, Lisa?
Because it has to be in their own time, or in God's timing, whichever, one chooses, but we cannot push.
Luisa, I think of us as we're all instruments of a higher power.
Amen.
If we choose to do that or not. And instruments help. We don't do the work for people. We are there to actually show people the path or a way or a tool, and people decide whether they want to use that instrument or not. Am I right? Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
So let me ask you some other questions, Luisa. What do you feel like hormones was huge for you now that you recognize as a triggering event? So, and I think your perimenopause sucked. I mean, you told me there was problem with hot flashes, insomnia, the anxiety, the brain fog, the loss of trust in yourself. Was there also and you even had problems with crazy bleeding, clotting. Am I right?
Yes, I love that. I mean, it was a nightmare, and Everett, my husband, could attest to that. Definitely. I totally, completely believe that hormones, I cannot believe how even functional doctors, because I had seen one a few years back, they just did not connect the dots. And, I have one beautiful daughter, and I am so excited to share some of this knowledge with her, because she's 26, fixing to get pregnant, and has been on, in some birth control pills. She needs to be aware of all that these hormones can bring about, because she already has some symptoms.
Luisa, I totally agree. And I look at it this way. My experience, this is what happened to me. When my actual autoimmune symptoms started when I was a teenager, when my period started, was severe depression and mood swings, right? And then I was starting to have stomach problems. And then after I delivered my first child and then my second child, I had severe postpartum depression and neck pain. And I developed severe anxiety that I never really had. And then at age 36, I went into early premenopause at the age of 36, and I totally lost my mind. I mean, I completely lost my mind. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my colleagues. I didn't trust what I was reading. I didn't trust my doctors, because I lost faith, full of anxiety, and I was in a spin. And if you look back at every single piece of this, hormones triggered it. And you're a beautiful example of this, which is why I want to ask you, I think it's a great point. Just because someone's a functional doctor does not mean that they know or specialize in how to balance hormones naturally, number one. Number two is, it also doesn't mean they understand the role of hormones in someone with autoimmune disease like this, and how it's connected with all the other symptoms of the pain, the numbness, the anxiety, the insomnia, all these pieces, and your gut, they were all connected. Just because someone's a functional doctor doesn't mean they're an expert on knowing how to apply, test, teach you guys how to actually deal with hormones in autoimmune disease. Is that your experience?
Yes. It was kind of unfortunate that I kind of just went through the flow, through the waves pretty much on my own, thinking that I might not survive it. I did, through, I guess, my spiritual faith, and some help from some supplements and some natural doctor somewhere that helped me just to survive. And I think as I joined the program with you, because I'm already after, post-menopause, so that 60 years old of age, I think that the biggest linchpin that has been for me, which I was clueless that it had anything to do with autoimmune symptoms, is the glucose. I mean,
blood sugar balance. Blood sugar balance.
I really thought this can be truth. Yeah, right. I was almost fighting it at the very first week, I think.
Oh, hell yes, you fought it, Luisa. Does that really matter? Do I really have to do this? I remember that.
But I tell you, once I buckled down and I started really learning everything you taught us and applying everything you taught us and journalizing what I ate, and voila, my pain is gone.
Your pain is gone, Luisa.
Yes. I mean, I get it once in a while because there may be, and not the same, it's a different kind. And I think it might be a little bit of permanent damage there that we're gonna tackle in the near future, you know? But compared to where I was, whew, no comparison really.
Did you even believe, have the faith that 2 months ago, that in 2 months that you were going to go from pain of like 8 to 9 out of 10 to almost 0?
I prayed and hoped, but I thought it would take a miracle, quite honestly. And that's how I think of this program, a miracle, really. I mean, incredible, Maggie, incredible. No, I really prayed and hoped in my heart, but I was very skeptical because I had tried so many things. I had researched so many things. I had spent countless sleepless nights and days looking in there, felt guilty for spending so much time, you know, researching and being in the internet.
Well, let me ask you something. I mean, you've been through this program and, you know, it is definitely an investment of your time, your energy, your focus, you're implementing, you're doing so much. And it's also a financial investment to getting well instead of staying sick. And that's a very different way of looking at how you're investing your healthcare dollars. So my question for you is, you know, this was not easy for you to invest in yourself in all those different ways. Was this a worthwhile investment for you?
Was this a worth investment for me? I would like if you let me to reply to this question with a little illustration. May I? Yes. I want you to, can you see this little necklace right here? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. This was given to me December 2011, Christmas 2011. And 7 days prior to that, we had buried my oldest son at the age of 27. Such a wasted, beautiful life. And he represents the white pearl. But if you notice, and my son that gave it to me and his wife said, Mom, the pearl is him because he's in heaven. The 3 little flowers are us, the 3 siblings. And the 3 little flowers have multiplied and have little flowers. And the 3 flowers are already in the mid-20s to early 30s. They are already having symptoms of autoimmune problems, health problems. And this mother pearl right here, me, I'm calling myself the mother pearl. Prior to your program, like I mentioned before, I thought I was leaving a legacy of illness, mysterious symptoms, trips to the hospital, and all was possibly in Mother Pearl's head. Now, since your program, since 8 weeks later, now my legacy is a picture of Mother healthy, full of resources and wealth of information that is gonna help all these little flowers fight and live a healthy and plentiful life, because I now am going to model that. And not only am I going to have the joy, well, I had joy before because of my faith, but I honestly thought I was dying, and no more. That is not in my vocabulary anymore. And all they're seeing now is excitement as to all the solutions that I'm implementing, and they're seeing it in my walk, in my talk. And my oldest son, his last meeting, the day that he passed away in a car accident from a seizure of the brain tumor, met with his captain, and the captain met with me. His last conversation, he was worried about his mother's health. And he will not, I'm sure he's rejoicing now. So, is it worth it? You better believe it is worth it.
Luisa, I don't even know how to respond to that. That was so beautiful. Thank you. And It's what you're saying is not just worth it for you and what changes have come about in you, but you recognize that it's worth it for your children, for the example that you are to them now, the resource you are to them now, the pilot in you rather than the passenger in you now. You are passing through your example to them. And this is generations of change because of this.
Yes, most definitely. I would do it again and again, Maggie. Thank you for for your mission in life, for what you have to offer.
So Luisa, thank you for that. I want to ask you, you said that you were skeptical in the beginning, because when people see it, your video and like the videos you saw, well, first of all, are those all people, real people?
Yes, but I would wonder.
Right. So that, and you're a real person. People can see your Facebook profile. You're real. And so my question for you was, for people out there who are skeptical because they've been burned so many times, this video looks like a miracle to them. So why should they, I guess my question is that what's your message to anyone who's skeptical about whether this program works to create these outcomes for people?
I would say that, you know, some people think that it is for the wealthy. Believe me, retired teachers are far from wealthy. But if they are suffering, if they have a lifelong of suffering, of trips to the different doctors that end in "ist," gynecologists, dermatologists, gastroenterologists, all kinds of doctors, and none provide an answer, and the pain is real, then I invite anyone in that situation to stop the craziness, the merry-go-round, the guesswork, the embarrassment of self-doubting yourself, and think of yourself, I am worth the investment of health.
You're worth not just the investment, Luisa, you are worth these outcomes, and your children are worth these outcomes, and your husband's worth having his wife back.
Yes, I completely am with you in that. Yes, I'm excited, Maggie, for what is to come, for tomorrow, for the next day, for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years. So excited. I was not before.
Luisa, thank you so much. You're an inspiration.
Likewise, and it's been an honor if it can inspire even one hurting person out there with this horrible illness, this autoimmune chronic illness, you know. Thank you for having me, Maggie.
Luisa, thank you for giving us the opportunity to show you how to do this. It's truly my passion in my life's work. And you and your necklace and your story inspires me.
I'd like to ask you one question, though. Will you train other doctors, Maggie?
That's a great question, Luisa. And there's actually a lot of doctors and nurses and physician assistants, nutritionists, physical therapists who've actually been through our program.
So there's hope.
There is a hell of a lot of hope. So I love it. So yes, we actually have even a video on healthcare professionals who's been through our program and why they chose to go through our program. So my hope is that we grow an army of people who have gone through our program, including healthcare professionals, to spread to people that investing in an educational process like this for yourself, whether because you're the sick person or whether you're a doctor or a healthcare provider, is the key to change. That's how we become instruments. And so thank you so much, Luisa, for you being part of this. For those of you that want to learn more about our program, go to drmaggieyu.com and you can watch a free training. And this all starts with a phone call. As soon as you watch the training, go ahead and book a call with us. And you can also book a call at drmaggie.com/apply. And this begins with the conversation. We love to learn more about you so that we can understand if and how we can help you, and we can go through that to the start of your journey with you. And it starts with a connection and an interaction with us on the phone. So thank you so much, Luisa. And I just want to thank you for blessing me with you going through this program the last 2 months with us. And thank you for blessing me today with this beautiful, beautiful story of your journey.
Thank you, Maggie. Bye-bye.
Thank you.